Now we're going to move on to just looking at the I/O setup. So obviously in your project we want you to set up some inputs and outputs. We've got a certain amount of digital inputs available to us and digital outputs, along with analog inputs and outputs, and some safety stuff in yellow. So how do we set them up? Basically you got to go into the installations tab, go into your I/O setup, and then you can basically click on them, rename them, and declare your inputs. So what we're doing, we talked about the color sensor to detect what color part is coming in, to tell us when a part is there. I'll talk about some of these inputs later. And then just on our outputs, we're not necessarily using the tool. We're going to pretend that we have a suction cup, a pneumatic suction cup that's been added on, and we actually have an output to turn on the suction and one to turn it off to blow out air. So just something a little bit different, and we'll talk about that output later. So really that's how you set up your outputs, and they will then become visible in the I/O sheet here. Okay, and then basically we want to see how do we simulate that within it, because we're going to have certain wait for a particular sensor, wait for a particular input to come on, and then set on and off our grippers, our suction cups, etc. So the robot will go ahead and activate the outputs for us when we're doing the simulation, but how do we actually simulate the sensors when we don't have the actual sensors there or the robot hooked up? So how we go about that is, and again I'm not going to show just how to put them wait commands and set commands in. I think we should be okay in getting them set up. But when you want to go through a simulation, you've got to see this wee button down here. You've got to click this on simulation mode, because then what that allows you to do is that allows you to turn on and off these inputs yourself. So you can trigger them and kind of watch through the solution. So I'll give you a wee look at that and how that works for this. And we'll go into graphics mode again just to watch everything. And then we'll start off with just everything off. So everything is off. So if I press play, you'll see you go back to the start. It's stuck here at the moment. It's waiting for a part to come in, so it's not going to do anything else. The robot's just moving in position. It's waiting for it to pick up. So if I go ahead and go into my I/O, say part sensor on, go back, you will see it's come down and then pick something up. So at the moment I'm saying that there is a part there, but we're not getting the color sensor. So if we look actually at our variable tabs, we'll see it thinks it's the black color. So remember, black is number 2, and I've nothing else set up for if color equals to 2, so it's not going to do anything else. Basically pick it up and go back to the home location. Go back, pick it up. So we have nothing set up for that at the moment, but that's just showing you can check your variables. So you'll see our counter for our palletizing sequence hasn't been done. Nothing has happened for that, and it's just showing me what color it thinks it is. So if I go back into my I/O, you'll see it's picked something up. But let's go ahead. So it's activating the outputs itself. Let's go ahead and put the color sensor on. Should see something a little bit better happening. So so we come across, it'll come down, it'll pick something up, and it will think it's a red part. You see now it'll swing all the way around, and it'll come in and it'll start palletizing, which is exactly what we want. Then it comes out of that palletizing technique, goes all the way back to home. So back to the start, and then picks up another part. Again, if you look at our variables, we can see it thinks it's color type 1, which is red, and then it's going through and doing our waypoints, and you'll see it's going to a different location, probably maybe a wee bit hard to see, but it's going to a different location every time when it's coming back and picking up, and then we're getting our suction on and suctions off at the correct places as well. We'll have a wee look at that in a minute. So you'll see it's going into a different position each time, so that is helped by this count variable. So I've just given it a better name, put it at count. You'll see when we eventually get up to 16, we'll get a pop-up, and then it'll reset it back to 0, and then it'll go through. So it's showing the palletizing, then we're coming out of the palletizing, because obviously it's got to pick up another part as we go through it. Again, if we look at the I/O, so I've just left them 2 inputs on. You'll see the digital outputs changing. Only one of them will ever be on at a particular time. Here's the suction off, and it should match up nicely with the graphics. So that's kind of showing you everything in terms of embedding the if statements in, showing you how to simulate it, so making sure you click the simulation tool so that you can actually edit the I/O yourself. It also shows you just how to keep an eye on your variables as to what the robot is actually thinking is happening, okay, as it goes through. It'll take us a little while to get round to 16, so what I'll do is I'll just pause the video and then pop back in when it's there. So we should nearly now be I restarted it. Great. Pop back in. Right, so we should nearly be back around now, hopefully getting closer to the end. Just another point to bring up is that, you know, I don't have to increase the count value within the code. I don't need a piece of script or an assignment piece of script or anything like that to put, you know, to add on an extra count. That gets automatically done within the palletizing sequence. So, you know, I can just rename it to whatever I'd like to use, and then I can do an if statement from that. Okay, so it does make it that bit more easy and that bit more user friendly that count is getting increased within the palletizing sequence. In other scenarios where we use the loop function, so we have, you know, the loop function, we have to actually increase the variable itself. So it's good to actually see it, you know, being used in another way. So we're nicely coming around now to point 15, and then the last one. It'll actually be interesting to check. Sometimes you might have to go on count 15, depending, you know, when you're starting from 0. Just depends which exact point we're at. So if that was number 15, yeah, right, we'll have to count up to number 16, so that's fine. Just sometimes you can be one off. It's important to be careful with that. So you'll see now the robot will come around. It'll place it in our last position. Oh, well, that's a lovely one there. Basically, we went into, it's interesting, went into a protective stop. So I'm just going to have to check how far out I may have to bring in that box. I've obviously pushed it too far. Needless to say, it's still giving me the pop-up, not the pop-up I wanted to. We enable the robot, you know, we're back at 0. But what would have happened is it would have went in there. I might just have to tweak this a little bit more. Would have went down and would have got that pop-up to say go ahead and empty the tray. So the robot would have been paused until the user comes over and clicks OK, and then it would have basically set the count back to 0 and re-looped back away. So not great shown from the video, but you hopefully get the idea.